everybody, and welcome to our week number 8 Twitch live stream. This is our last one that we have together in this class, which is kind of crazy and hard to believe. I missed seeing you all last week. Sorry, I had knee surgery last Monday, and I'm recovering and doing better, but I'm not able to drive or go out, and I was not in the best spot last Wednesday, so I'm sorry to have had to cancel that, but luckily everything went well, and I'm able to be here and with you today. So before I go any farther, can you all hear and see me? Can someone let me know in the chat if everything is coming through all right, and then we can move forward. I'll wait just a second just to make sure. It looks good on my end, but just to double check. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So let's go over to Canvas. We got a couple of things to look at. And I will remind you of this a few times today. I'm going to put it in the chat. Remember that our class officially ends Friday night at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so normally everything is due on Sunday. This isn't something that I set. This is up to the college. The class ends Friday night at 11:59 p.m. So please make sure that you get everything done by Friday. You'll see it everywhere, and I definitely will send out a reminder, but everything ends on the 3rd. So we are right here in week 7 and 8. Not 6, 7, but 7 and 8, right? Oh, my kids would kill me. But we are right here in week number 8, so I want to go over everything that we have this week. Obviously, we didn't meet last week, but you do have all of the materials from last week as well. Everything from week 7 and 8 due by this Friday night at 11:59 p.m. I will go over the self-care and mindfulness assignment from last week. I want to make sure you're feeling clear about that. And then we'll go over everything that we have due from this week as well. So kind of going back last week, you have chapters 13 and 14. As always, do those 3 things. Read them in the textbook, read the lecture, watch the lecture video. You have discussions 13 and 14. What I want to go over is that self-care assignment, just to make sure that you're feeling clear about it. It is worth 25 points, so you want to make sure you spend some time on this. If you click on it, the very first thing it will do is remind you that this is that other book that you purchased. When you bought your textbook for this class, it was a bundle of 2 books. We've been using the Psyched book this whole time, but the self-care book is the one that this one is based on. And I really hope that this assignment is something that's helpful for you, like in your life. I wrote this book as well. Kind of funny, if you had told me I was going to write a book about self-care, I would have laughed at you. It's something I always rolled my eyes at. But I started to see the importance of that and mindfulness, and I wanted to share it with you. So for this, you're going to be reading through that book. Hopefully you can go back and find the email where you purchased it and registered it back at the beginning of the class. Once you've read through the book, you have 10 different questions to answer from it. A couple of them are, kind of looking at content related things. Some of them are making a plan or filling out a worksheet, trying out a mindfulness activity and then writing about it. So make sure that you go through and you answer all 10 of these questions. In total, this should probably be like about 5 pages or so. I will never take off for it being too long, but if it's much shorter than that, you definitely didn't elaborate enough. So make sure you number all of your responses, answer them clearly. It should be roughly 5 pages. You might be uploading a couple of images of your worksheets. You can take a picture of you handwriting it, or you can type it out, or you can take a picture of it in the book. Whatever is easiest for you. Any format, as long as I can read it, is totally fine. You're going to be uploading it right here where it says start assignment. And I did give you a rubric down here. Again, it's worth 25 points. My hope with this is that it gives you some cool ideas for activities that are mindfulness and activities that are self-care. And self-care literally can be anything. My favorite way to self-care is to have a piece of delicious chocolate cake for dessert. So that could be your self-care activity as well if you would like. So this is worth 25 points. It's linked to the topics for last week. It's also linked to the discussion for last week, discussion 13, where you're doing some self-care activities. Feel free to kind of double dip with that and, use a little bit of each. So that's the one big thing from last week that's kind of different than normal. I wanted to make sure to go over it. Are there any questions at all about the self-care and mindfulness assignment? I'm going to put that here in the chat. If you think of any questions or anything you're confused about, feel free to put it in the chat, and I would be happy to go over it a little bit more. But this is due by Friday night, like everything else. And I put that with last week because it's related to the topics of stress and health. Now for this week, again, as always, you have 2 chapters and 2 discussions and an exam. You also have a little closing assignment. So let's talk about what we have going on for week number 8. So 2 chapters, chapter 15 on therapies and chapter 16 on social psychology. And again, as always, 3 things where I read it in the book, read the lecture, watch the lecture video. Discussion number 15 is related to the different therapies. And as always, you have my instructions up here at the top, followed by my video. I redid this one recently, right? I'm trying to redo some of the videos, so this one I redid. But this one you're looking at the topic of therapy. What are some stereotypes of therapy that you either hold personally or maybe you've heard or seen from others? How would you describe the stereotypical therapist? What are some things they might say or do? What gender, age, appearance might they have? Anything about the therapy room, the therapy process? I always, of course, think that they're going to say, like, how does that make you feel? Or tell me more about that. I picture someone with glasses that's older, right? And they're nodding a lot, right? All those kind of things. And then some, you'll be thinking about stereotypes. The big one is this last part here. Using the textbook lecture, and the website right here. I want you to write about if you were to ever consider going to therapy, which 2 of the therapeutic approaches would be your top choices and why? I want you to describe the approach, at least one technique and goal of your chosen type of therapy, and really reference some of those specifics, like how are they going to do that? What are they going to do? What are their goals? What is the technique of 2 different types of therapy? And this is what is worth by far the most points. So definitely spend some time elaborating on what type of therapy, 2 of them, and then their techniques and a goal. And you can see a few people have done this already. When you're ready, you can hit reply to answer, and then don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. The other discussion for this week, discussion 16, is related to social psychology. As broad as psychology gets, a lot of overlap with sociology in this chapter. As always, again, you have my instructions, my video, and then this one, you're going to perform 3 random acts of kindness. Now, these can be with family members or friends or partners, people who live with you. They can be with strangers out in the world or a combination of the 2. But you're going to perform 3 random acts of altruism. They should ideally be unplanned, kind of random. They can be rather small, they can be bigger, it's kind of up to you. But you're going to describe the 3 acts that you performed. What did you do? What were the reactions, if any? Your thoughts and reactions, kind of share the whole experience. Number 2, you're going to describe a time where you were the victim of prejudice or discrimination. This could be based on your age, race, ethnicity, orientation, gender, religion, ability, anything. Right? If you have never been a victim of prejudice or discrimination, you could write about an example from the media, someone in a movie or a TV show. You could share an example of somebody else in your life that is close to you. So if you've never had that happen to you in any way, you're definitely in the minority, but you could write about somebody else's experience. I want you to briefly share what happened and any reactions or thoughts or anything that came up. And then finally, what are some strategies that people can employ to help reduce prejudice and discrimination in general? When you're ready, you'll hit reply, and then don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. So that is our last 2 discussions. And then, of course, you do have exam number 4. It's an even week, so you have an exam. As always, you have a study guide. This one is just on these 4 chapters, right? So it's on chapters 13, 14, 15, and 16. As always, if it's on the study guide, make sure you know it. It will be on the exam. If it's not on the study guide, you don't need to worry about it at all. So as always, I would recommend completing the study guide, typing or writing all those terms out. Don't forget to make sure you have good internet, that you have 75 minutes to take the exam. Set yourself up for success. Don't wait till Friday night to take this. And please make sure you complete it before the end of Friday. Right? If I get an email from you on Saturday saying like I didn't get to it, I will feel so bad for you, but it will be too late. The class will be over. Again, the class ends Friday night. This is the one time I can't give any extensions because the class will be over. There's one final thing that you have on here. Rather than giving you a cumulative final, I have a little closing assignment for you, right? So there needs to be some kind of like cumulative element to a final. So instead, I'm giving you a very short paper. It's worth 25 points, and you're going to be writing about 5 ways that you could apply the content from this class to your life. And I've given you instructions and I've given you a sample. So you're picking 5 different terms or concepts. So if I go back for a second here, what you'll notice is there is a concept list, a sample, and some instructions. So let's look at the sample first and then we'll go back. So what I want you to notice about this is it's not a traditional like paper. You're literally saying, number 1, here's the term or concept, the definition, and then what you're giving me mainly is the application. So you can put the definition directly from the book, that's completely fine. What you're really focusing on is how could I take this information and apply it to my life. So for example, if you choose the term of negative reinforcement, you would give me a definition, and then you would write a paragraph talking about how could I use this term or concept or idea of negative reinforcement in my life in some practical way. So this is what it will look like. You'll have 5 of them, and you can pick any term or concept that we've covered, though I did make a list of like some of the major ones just to try and help you out. So for every chapter, here are some of the big ideas or concepts that we covered. Literally anything that we've gone over is totally fine, but if you needed a little guidance, that might be something that's helpful for you. And then when you're ready to submit it, what you'll do is you'll click on the instructions right here, and that's where it has the instructions and the link to submit your assignment. So for this one, again, you're picking 5 separate terms or concepts. You'll number them 1 through 5. You'll define them, and then you'll give me about a paragraph talking about how could you apply it to your life. You'll upload it right here. It should be typed, roughly 2 pages or so. I'm not super worried about like the spacing as much as it should be that you have at least like 2 pages of content, 5 separate terms with definitions and applications. And again, this is your cumulative element. I hope that you have more than 5 things you could apply to your life, but pick 5 things that you've learned in here that hopefully you can kind of take away. And it could be something from this week, right? Like mindfulness or self-care. It could be the therapies. It can be anything that we've covered all semester long. I do have a little anonymous closing class survey. If you'd like to give me any feedback about things that you liked or didn't like about the class, please feel free to put them in there. I'm always trying to make this class better, so if there's something you loved or hated or like want to share, great chance to share it with me anonymously so no one will know who said what. I will, of course, post the recording of this, which some of you are probably watching right now. I'll post the recording right here, and I'll give you the extra credit in a moment. So just a couple of reminders. One last time, don't forget to double check your subscription status. A lot of you have fallen off, right? Like Jasmine, you no longer have the little football cake next to your name. Same with Jean, you don't have the football cake next to your name, right? So if you could take an opportunity to check that one more time, that would be great, especially if you're watching this as a recording, so you can still get those extra credit question points. The other thing I'm going to put in here, please remember that the class officially ends Friday night at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so Friday night, right? One last time, right? Everything will close. If you email me Saturday, I'll feel awful for you, but it will be too late. Otherwise, let me give you the extra credit question for this week, which is related to therapies. So this is the week number 8 Twitch extra credit question. Okay. If someone had a phobia of heights, what are 2 methods that could be used for treatment? Explain as well, right? So make sure that you like explain what they are, how you would like treat it. If someone had a phobia of heights, what are 2 different ways that you could treat it? And when you're ready to answer that, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 8 under this week, since we're in week number 8. Up at the top, you'll click on Start Assignments to get that box where you can type your... Wow, I can't type today. Type your response. Really bad. Response. There we go. And then go ahead and hit Submit for your confetti burst and little flames, right? Like reminds me of like elemental. So that is kind of the big stuff for this week. Obviously, you have everything from week 7 that we didn't meet last week because of my surgery. So, everything from week 7, including those 2 discussions, the self care and mindfulness assignment. Everything from this week, 2 discussions, the exam and the closing assignment, the little anonymous closing survey, and of course, that extra credit if you're interested. Everything due by Friday night at 11:59 p.m. So just please, please, please don't miss that deadline. I will feel awful for you. But once it hits Saturday, the class is technically over and it will be too late. So a couple of last things. Thank you all for joining me for our very short 8-week class. If you're like, ooh, I like psychology, I kind of want to take something else, you could always consider something like research methods, which I teach online, or in person next semester, abnormal psych or human sexuality. Also really common, people take things like lifespan. There's a bunch of different classes that we offer in psychology. If you like this topic and want to come join us for more, I teach a few different ones as well. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. What I will do is hang out for a few minutes if you have any questions for me related to anything that we talked about today, any questions or thoughts or comments. Otherwise, thank you all again for joining me. I'm going to put that here in the chat as well. Thank you all, and thank you all for those of you who have come every week. I know this is kind of like middle of the day, but thank you for a lot of you joining me every week for these live streams, watching them later as recordings. I really enjoyed your company, was happy to keep doing them as long as people were utilizing them. So thank you so much. I'm going to hang out for a little bit. Again, if anyone has any questions, I will minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself. But if you have any questions for me, please feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, good luck with the rest of our class. Good luck with the rest of your semester. And I will hope maybe I see some of you in future psychology classes. All right. Thank you all again. Thank you as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad you had a good time in the class. It goes so quickly, and I know like intro psych is kind of like just a broad overview, but I still think it's a really interesting topic. What was the week? Number 7, extra. We didn't have a live stream last week, so I just canceled it last week. We didn't have an extra credit live stream. I had surgery last Monday on my knee, so I was not in any place to meet with you. So there's just one for today, for this week. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, wonderful rest of the semester. And I am still here if any of you have any questions about anything from this week or last week. Otherwise, again, don't forget Friday night, and thank you all so much.